Hi ladies, I hope all is well. How you doing? How are you vibing? So we back with some more information. We are back with some research, okay? Got to do my research because as a womb practitioner, by the way, hello, my name is Bianca and I am a womb practitioner and I help women heal their wombs from chronic womb pain, from abortions, from post miscarriage, as well as post birth, through sacred ritual as well as through herbal protocols. All right, so that's that. And, welcome in. Welcome in if you are coming into the group or if you are coming into this space. I welcome you. All right. We're going to get into it really quickly and easily. And we're going to talk about some of the research that I have recently come across because it is imperative that we get to the root cause of some things. It's imperative that we get all of the factors and all of the minor factors, right? Because they interconnect. Everything is interconnected when it comes to the woman and the womb and the woman's body and in the body of the human. And so we have to connect everything, connect all the dots, connect all the information as well. Okay, so the more information you have, the more empowered you are as a woman. The less information you have as a woman, then the less empowered you are. Okay, the more fear you hold because you don't know what to do, you don't know how to be strategic in order to heal, in order to move forward, in order to pretty much stop going in cycles and stop repeating the same monstrous experiences and repeating the same habits and repeating the same pains and or things, habits that are causing the pain. So that's that. That's the intro. We're going to get into it real quick. Okay. All right. So we're talking about abortion today. That is the topic. Again, I focus on miscarriage as well as birth, right? The spirit realm of miscarriage as well as the spirit realm and the physicalities as well, post miscarriage, post birth. But today we are focusing on abortion. So here's the thing, y'all. I don't know if you know, right? And maybe you've heard of what's going on in the world, okay? But Roe vs. Wade, okay, is something that has occurred, okay? This is one of the laws that have been has been tampered with and or has been updated by the system, by society, or by the government. And we're going to answer what impact has repealing Roe vs. Wade caused, right? What impact has it had so far on women? And then we're going to talk about why it's imperative physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Okay, and how it just combines and interlocks with, healing and being strategic and being conscious and aware about the nature of healing after these experiences. Okay, so abortion is banned in 12 states. All right, and then the states that don't directly just cut it off and ban it, it's not a hard ban, then it is a ban based on gestational, that's the word, right? Gestational, right, duration, meaning, so there's 29 states, by the way, and I'm looking at my work, my notes, just to keep my mind and thoughts organized. There's 29 states that have abortion bans based on gestational duration, meaning based on how old the fetus, right, is in your womb. Okay, so that's that. Since Roe vs. Wade has been overturned, by the way, if you didn't know, it's been overturned. Okay, Roe vs. Wade is a law that once, I would say, protected women because of, allowing women to have the freedom to get abortions freely without restrictions. It's been overturned, okay, by the government and the world system. Okay, the governing world system has completely and said, you know what? Mm-mm. And there's so many factors when it comes to this choice, right? The choice of man. Man is creating choices for women. Keep that in mind. So since Roe vs. Wade has been overturned, the numbers of abortion actually have gone up. Keep that in mind as well. But this is deeper than the law, right, that governs the woman's body. This is about man ruling and controlling the woman's body when he pleases to, right? When he wants to reduce the amount of children that come from our portals, our womb, he'll create a law for it. When he wants to amplify, or like if he wants more children to come from our wombs, being that maybe they want more slaves coming into the earth, right? Then they're going to do things like ban abortion. Okay, because if you don't know right now what's happening, what's being said is that the population of children being born is declining, right? So let's keep that in mind. This is about what I put because I have to think, right? When you think and you say, what I see this as is that this is about controlling the unknown, because man does not know what goes on in the womb, what goes on within the portal of birth and creation. He actually fears the unknown. Most people do, and that's why they behave, and that's why the world is the way that it is, right? Man seeks through curiosity questions, right, or the answers from questions that they have about the unknown. And rather than leaning into allowing darkness and the unknown to be, no, I have to tamper it. Like, I'm a man, right? Think I have to figure this out. I have to tamper it. I have to know exactly. It's all mathematical. It's all logical. And they don't want to let go of that logic and, be open to the of course, the unknown. They don't want to be open to the lack of, right? They feel like they lack when it comes to the womb and the birth portal and the woman. So he fears, right? Man fears the access women have to channel between two realms at once. And I say this because I've had 2 children and I know exactly what it is to be in 2 different places but still be whole, but still be in one, in your original form, right? You're in your original form, but you're actually split into 2 ways. There's the spiritual and then there's the physical. And when you're giving birth, this is what's happening, right? There's a split, but yet you're still there. You're pushing out a creation, but you have to go here in the spirit realm to grab your baby, to grab your creation. You have to leave the physical in order for your manifestation, in order for your creation to actually become whole together. You have to split yourself. Man does not like that. Man is confused about that. Man doesn't understand that. And so he wants to control it. And he fears it. So this is why now they're creating wombs in the science labs. Yeah, it's that deep. They don't want it. They fear it so much that they are creating, they almost want to get rid of what they don't understand, of what they envy, of what they want to do. They want that When it comes to some statistics, the CDC has reported that the rise in abortions, right, has increased post this repeal, this law that has been repealed, because of the increase in travel. So there's an increase in travel. Women are traveling across state borderlines and all the things to get abortions, okay? Because in certain states, in 12 states, that's a lot of states, they are there. It's completely banned, and then if it's too late, it's banned in certain in all the other states. But again, they are traveling because they are probably within range, and they're getting it and they're moving and they're traveling. So it, despite the fact that there's restrictions, women are still finding a way to still how should I say this, finding a way to still hold on to their decision as it pertains to their womb. They've chosen to not carry, okay, and go through with the pregnancy. So that's their choice. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Across state lines, so they're of course traveling across state lines to receive abortion care and increased use of medication and abortion. So what's happening is there's an increase of medication abortion where you can get it mailed to you. You can get the prescription, or you can get it prescribed to you, to the woman can get it prescribed to her, okay, by via way of mail, and then with the instructions, and then do it at home. So that's something that is being that is something that's heightened right now, okay, in terms of numbers of women. Restrictions on abortion have been linked, because now we're going to talk about what's happening to the woman, okay, when it comes to restrictions. Restrictions on abortion have been linked to negative outcomes that impact families over a long time period, okay? Women who were denied or wanted an abortion and subsequently gave birth were more likely to receive government subsidies, right? Okay. Below the federal poverty line. Okay. And I'm going to continue, and then I'll kind of wrap it up and tell you what are my thoughts. Okay. They're also likely to be unemployed post birth 5 years later, and also to experience financial distress than their non-birthing counterparts 12 years later, a decade later. They say a decade later, okay, which is 12 years later there. So this is how deep it goes. Okay, it's about what's going to happen long term to your mental, your physical, your spiritual, your financial status. And this is the research that's been done. Okay, so they're researching us all the time. They want to know about us. They're obsessed with us. Man is obsessed with women, okay, because they know they have to keep us under control, under their control. And one thing I will say is that if you, as a divine feminine, want to relinquish your control or your power to man, this is what happens in totality, right? As a whole, this is what happens. They get to do these things because we don't understand our power. We don't protect our wombs, okay? And this is not to shade or shame anybody for making the choice of, fornication or sexual intercourse, having sexual intercourse, and then getting pregnant, and then choosing abortion or not choosing abortion, but maybe you wanted it. There's no shame, right? It's really about understanding how deep the rabbit hole goes so that you can protect yourself, so that you can track your cycle. I have videos on tracking your cycle naturally. Not naturally, but utilizing the tools. It's 2025. There's so many tools, and there's so many actual natural herbal protocols to move, right? Move things in your body. We'll get into that later. But you can actually move out energy out of your uterus, of your ovaries, into your digestive system, okay? And not into your digestive system, sorry, but out through and then out of your womb, right? So you can pass it. It can go. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into it because there's routines, there's natural routines. Just by touching your womb, you can actually push out you can tell your womb that you don't want a child after ovulation, maybe after sex, and then you can actually move that energy out and you'll get your period back. You have to use the right herbs. But anyway, not only that, there's so many other factors. There's so many other things to talk about, but let's get into it. We're going to finish. So there's a percentage, just about 30%, 28.1% increase. There's a 28.1% increase in child malnutrition, they say, reports, right? Primarily driven by increases in child neglect and physical abuse. So what does that mean? What that means is that there's a woman that seeks abortion. She doesn't get the abortion. They run the statistics on how many women is experiencing this that didn't end up getting the abortion, that wanted it. Maybe they didn't go through with it. Maybe that's how they're calculating this. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, right? But she is actually the same woman that will, honestly, it's telling you that she dislikes the child, right? She doesn't honor the child that came out of her womb. She doesn't honor her womb, right? And I'm not saying that you have an abortion and that means you don't honor your womb. No, you honor your womb by knowing, by understanding how deep the rabbit hole goes. And I'm here because you need to understand, first of all, why is this happening to you? Why are you choosing abortion? Why have you chosen it? Maybe multiple times. And does it run in your bloodline, right? Were women not able to get abortions and you have the choice to do it? Or were women getting abortions in your family, in your bloodline, in the matriarchal bloodline that you come from? See, you have to know all these things. And then also you have to know the womb, understand how you can prevent these things from happening. And if you can't, and if we're going to get into it, okay, because I don't want to get off topic. All right. So again, increases in child neglect and physical abuse. So they're saying that there's a higher chance, or there is it's very likely, right, that there is resentment. Okay, that's there. The article's not going to say that, but there's going to be resentment held in your heart and held in your womb, and they're interconnected. And when you have a child, when you're working with a cold heart and a cold womb, you're only spreading that toxicity into the child. And this is how the child is left in unsafe environments, right? With an abusive mother, right? And she may think that she's a good mother. I don't know. But I'm just saying that ultimately it's selling you. It's saying that a woman that wants it done, doesn't get it done, will harbor resentment in her heart and in her womb space. I'm telling you that. Maternal health can also be impacted by changes in abortion access. Okay, so denying one, well, okay, so the CDC article has reported that denying one access to abortion increases chance of maternal death. Okay, which means that the death of the mother. It increases the chances of a mother dying. Okay, and it's saying that when you're denying the access, because what she will do, it's saying about 2.5% will seek abortion through unsafe procedures. Okay, and that's not a really high amount, but it depends on 2% out of, you know what I mean, a million women. It is a high amount. And so in regards to numbers, and so what's really what it's saying is that women are, and I know this to be true because women do seek, right? Women consult with me and, you know, consult with some of the other womb practitioners that I know, and they'll seek and ask questions of herbal protocols on how to do an abortion with just herbs. And also, you know, there might be other ways, right? I don't know about those other kind of ways, like medical ways, but I don't want to say unsolicited, but I want to say non safe, non-safe maybe medical procedures. And I'm not sure if women are still doing that, but I've heard of these things. So either way, they're saying 2.5% will seek out unsafe procedures when it comes to, you know, abortions. So that's another factor, right? We're going to keep running down and then we're going to give some breakdowns, right? Okay. So the research also says that the states with more abortion restrictions have higher maternal mortality rates. Again, mother dying and just overall worse outcomes. Okay, so the more restrictions you put on the feminine, the feminine does receive that in a negative way. Okay, before the feminine wakes up and realizes her power, it will affect her. All right. These negative outcomes have unequal, unfair effects as it pertains to Black, Indigenous women. Okay, or communities. Okay, as a whole, collectively, when it comes to Black, Indigenous women. All right, because what I mean is that collectively, it's like, okay, yes, it affects women, but then if women are to, you know, in unison with a man but desires not to have a child, etc., but still in unison with what it's collapsing, it's negatively affecting this unit. Okay, so research also says that stress, that's one thing that I really want to get into. An abortion or other reproductive healthcare procedures like a hysterectomy. My mother had a hysterectomy, and stress, I mean the amount of stress that I seen this woman go through. And, you know, at one point I just thought that she was just angry, but it really was just stress. And so, you know, those reproductive procedures, whether it's something that, you know, the doctor does for a client that has endo, or a client that has infertility, all of these reproductive matters, right, when it comes to healthcare procedures, they all induce stress. And, you know, stress can activate the, what's it called again? Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gland, or adrenal axis. There's an axis right here, right? And it starts in the brain. We have to really start learning about ourselves as women and about the brain. We have to empower the brain. There's a lot going on up here. This regulates our hormones. Okay, so let's get into it, okay? So what this hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis does, it alters hormone secretion. Okay, if you don't know, your hormones start up here, right? Secretion starts in the brain. There's a hormone known as cortisol, and cortisol levels changing vary, right, throughout your day, throughout where you're at during your menstrual cycle, especially as women, right? We're focusing on women here. Keep in mind that the HPA, I'll just call it HPA, hypo, because that word is long, y'all, regulates many bodily functions. Okay, but when compromised by stress, cortisol is one thing that I want to focus on. Eventually, it enters the bloodstream. Let's get into it. Okay, when women are stressed out, the number one hormone that is literally killing us from the inside out is cortisol. Once cortisol gets in the bloodstream, it's a wrap, right? It's so what it does is that it enters the bloodstream and it can alter and affect your what do you think? What do you do every month that causes blood to come in and out to your body, right? Your cycle, your menstrual cycle. So when it comes to cortisol entering your bloodstream and then affecting your menstrual cycle, right? Because the blood is flowing through your womb. Okay. Your blood is flowing through your womb. What do you think is happening? Because it recirculates. If you don't get rid of that stress or the factors that the factors that are affecting your stress, which then send signals to your brain to create a chemical called cortisol to release, right, which goes through the pituitary gland and then the adrenal gland, which is attached to your kidneys, which all of that, by that time, you're all the way down here, okay, because your kidneys are, your digestive organs are sitting right above the womb, okay? By that time, then it's going to go where? It's going to flow. It's going to flow into where it needs to flow, right? Because it has to get rid of it. The body has to do something with what's already in it, right? We have to acknowledge the fact that things don't just go away. We need to get to the root cause. That's the whole point. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking. That's why I'm breaking down. That's breaking down this information and sharing the research. The research is literally showing you that they're obsessed with us. Man is obsessed with women. And not only that, it's that they're controlling us. Right? We don't have control of ourselves, so somebody's got to do it. We can begin to control ourselves when we begin to learn about the womb. We begin to learn about the portal that we hold. We don't just say, oh, I'm not giving it up, I'm celibate and all that, Nah, it's not. It's deeper than that. It's ancestral. It's divine. Okay? For one, we have to, if we are not in loving relationships, if we're not sure, close your legs. That's step one. But then, if we are having sexual intercourse, then why are we not tracking our cycles? Why do we not have the Flow app? Right? Why are we not paying monthly for the Flow app? Just do it. Log in your cycle. Know when you ovulate. Don't have sex when you ovulate. Right? We have to take control of our wombs. Because it's saying that, the statistics is saying that we're going to have an unhappy life if we do not want children and we still have them. That's what it's saying. It's saying women are going to have miserable lives. That's what the research is saying, ultimately. If we choose to have children that we do not want, that we never wanted, that we didn't want. Okay? So back to stress levels being affected because of reproductive procedures, okay, because of reproductive surgery, surgical procedures, and all the things. Stress is going to activate. You're going to activate the stress hormone, cortisol, in your brain. All right. And the thing is that it's going to ultimately get into the bloodstream and then affect your menstrual cycle. It's going to affect your blood flow. So then what does that mean? Well, if there's restriction, right? If there's friction within your womb, then you might feel friction when it comes to friction as it pertains to your libido. And you may feel friction as it pertains to or rigidity as it pertains to your fluids, right? Vaginal dryness. Okay. Depression. Just unexplained sadness. Right? All those things, those are all going to be all of that is going to be affected. All of that is going to start. It's like checking off. It's like, oh, I feel like this. I feel like this. I feel like this. Okay. Red blood. I mean, not red blood. Dark blood flow. Dark blood flow. Maybe your flow changes. It's no longer red. Maybe there's blood clots. Okay. It's a bunch of things that can happen because of stress. Okay, so how does that go back and tie back to abortion? Well, or getting an abortion, or not getting the abortion after you wanted it. Okay, either way, it's all stressful. Women are not supposed to live these stressful lives. A lot of life is supposed to be a little easeful for us, right? We shouldn't be having spikes of cortisol levels, right, activating in our brains. We got to do something about it immediately. So, the impact of being denied a wanted abortion on women and their children. The study and the statistics. Okay, so this is a little bit of another rundown because it's saying that it's going to impact the women that wanted it and didn't get it, but then also the children as well. So tracking outcomes up to 15 years later, here we go again, obsessed. And it's men who do these, conduct these research, right? These research statistics and studies. Tracking outcomes up to 15 years later, we find that women denied an abortion experience more health issues, lower education as well, attainment, and reduced labor force participation, as well as higher rates of single motherhood, poverty, and reliance on the government assistance. Okay, so that's just one thing. And then it's also saying existing children, maybe the woman had children before, but then wants an abortion because she doesn't want any more children. Born before their mother sought an abortion are less likely to attend school and are more likely to work and skip education. Okay, these are some stats, but again, it's deeper than the stats, it's deeper than the studies. It's important, but it's just showing you how much that man studies women. Okay, and and also it's saying that when you're being denied, and what are they doing? They're denying it. They're denying access to women's, free will to either produce or don't produce, or choose not to create, not to bring the creation into fruition. They're denying that. They're restricting that. Okay, so these are, again, just to clarify, these are negative statistics about denying this need or this desire, the desire of abortion. But yet, They know that, and yet they deny it. They say nope. They put a ban to it, right? So you get what's happening. It's all about control. It's all about control. So the best thing for you to do as a woman, as a young woman, especially if you are in your 20s, and you are sexually active, is to understand your womb and understand your womb power and to not give it away freely. Okay, that is the best thing to do. And I see this like awakening online and all the things. I'm not sure how big the awakening is, right? What you see online sometimes is an illusion, but there is an awakening happening with women, despite the fact that I don't know how many, I don't know the actual stats, but women are waking up to at least understanding that they, need to be celibate or desire to be celibate, right? Because it's not safe anymore. And it never, probably never was, right? But things are changing worldwide, collectively. And so and I'm not saying that it's necessarily getting better. It's very dangerous right now. And not to be, negative, but I'm talking about as it pertains to the womb. Yeah, protect your womb. So let's see what we got over here, y'all. What they are saying, I think this is like my little notes right here. So at the end of my studies, I'm like, okay, so let's see what they're saying here. And again, I've been breaking it down for you. What they're saying is that women are affected in extreme ways. Her lifestyle changes and alters exponentially. So economically, her life changes. Spiritually, her life changes. We didn't talk about spiritually how much her life will change after an abortion, as well as miscarriage, as well as giving birth. But we're gonna get into it. Physically, right? Because when it comes to the hormones that secrete in your body to replenish you, to keep you alive, to fuel your nervous system, right? So that your nervous system operates wholly. That's physically. Financially, they put it all up in here, all in the research. Financially, it's saying that women who are denied abortions will be broke in the future, or most likely have a higher chance of being broke. Don't speak that into existence, excuse me, but I'm just saying these are the stats. So economically, spiritually, physically, financially, mentally. Again, this is from the research. Is it true? Does it have to be true for you? No, of course not. That's why it's better to know this and to break it down and to understand like where we at with this, right? Okay. So that's it. That's all. But I hope this helps, right? This was just a breakdown of some research that I just, just did. Okay, I did some research, and yeah, that's where we at, right? So now, it's so important, y'all. Where's my I just want to share with you. Nope, it's right here. Okay, good. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, so I have two things coming up. I've already launched my one-on-one, and I'm going to talk about that today. And when it comes to my group sessions, the group collective, and the womb awakening collective, when it comes to that, I'm going to talk about that soon, right? Because there's going to be something happening in regards to having women together in community, holding space, and then we're gonna, we're gonna do all the things, hash things out, rituals, both spiritual rituals, right, and then also physical rituals. But I want to talk about the one-on-one session. what do we do with all this information, right? Well, you get into spaces with women, right? With sacred women, women that respect the divinity within them, okay, that have been doing this work. Women like womb practitioners, womb awakeners, okay? So, with that being said, I have recently launched the Rooted Womb Mapping Framework. Okay, and you're probably like, what is that? I'm gonna break it down. I got my little laptop over here so I can break down what this entails, what this what these one-on-one sessions entail. Okay, so when it comes to the Rooted Womb Mapping Framework, right? Because we really got to get structured as women. You know, we really miss the mark when we lack structure. And it's all about having, you know what's crazy? Do I have the book here? I don't know if I have it here. I think I have it here. It could be downstairs. Damn, I was teaching my son earlier. I have this book of, it's called Shiros of Haitian warriors, women warriors. And it's imperative that I teach him about, you know, the male warriors as well as the women warriors, right? But anyway, I'm off topic. The reason why I'm speaking of this is because we do have to start to acquiesce and, like, you know, embody the warrior spirit within us, okay? And because that's the only way we could put up a fight. Realistically, there's warrior energy, there's lots of fire, flaming energy within us that we hold, but we have to activate it. And sometimes you need help to understand how to activate it, to understand the bits and pieces, the breakdown of who you actually are when it comes to your ancestors, when it comes to your mother, your grandmother, when it comes to the women in your bloodline. You have to know them. You have to know their stories and their womb stories. So anyway, the Rooted Womb Mapping Framework is about, right, or is going to entail, what you'll receive is a personalized womb wellness overview, okay, clarity on deep-seated patterns and areas of healing, all right, guidance on your next steps towards restoring balance and connections, utilizing certain protocols such as physical, actual, spiritual rituals, herbal protocols, all right. And then you'll also receive insight into your unique womb patterns and inherited codes, okay? Because you inherit a lot of information via the way of your mother's vagina, your mother's womb, okay? And then there's your grandmother, because your mother was implanted in your grandmother, and while your mother was in your grandmother, guess what? You were a little seed in your mother's womb. So y'all been connected for eons, for years. So there's lots of information that you can utilize, right? Whether negative or positive, you can utilize for your advantage so that you can push yourself, right? Because if you come from a bloodline of women who were dealing with domestic violence and who were constantly or consistently controlled by the men that they chose to birth children with, then you can say, aha, right? This is no wonder why I'm coming out of this domestic violence situation, and I'm now getting a divorce, and now or maybe I haven't chosen to let go yet, and now it's time. Right? It's time to break that generational pattern and that imprint, right? Because you don't know where it's coming from. You know you're stuck in a toxic loop. But now, once you do this structured learning, as well as implementing physical and natural herbal protocols and all the things, you're going to get to that. I always say you're going to get to that. But it's so imperative that you understand what you're working with. Okay, you could be working with so much dense energy as it pertains to the wombs of your ancestors that you might have to focus on something else, right? Before you focus on the herbs. Okay, in order for you to break that spell free, and then so for the herbs to actually penetrate your cellular structures, then you would need to actually figure out what's actually going to help you digest these herbs, right? Because if you have internal spiritual blockages as it pertains to your bloodline in their wombs and your womb, you might take the herbs, but then you get back into the cycle again, right? Because you haven't broken that. It's like literally, it's like it has to penetrate different levels. It gets real deep, and this is what we're going to be talking about. This is what we're going to be focusing on when you come work with me one-on-one. I want to also, provide group sessions, but we are going to, I'm going to get your take on that. What do women want? What do you want, right? We're going to find out if you want more group sessions or more one-on-one. But some people need one-on-one. And for this kind of work, one-on-one is definitely going to be impactful, because we're going to break down your chart together and all the things. You're going to have homework. All right, it's going to be very interactive where you're doing things. Okay, you're not just going to feel like I'm just teaching at you. No, this is interactive. Okay. Actionable steps to address emotional and physical imbalances. So this is what you're going to receive as well through working with me one-on-one. And again, we're going to address emotional and physical imbalances. That's deep. That's deep. Like, if we can work on that as women, our emotional and physical imbalances, and not, have it be so inconsistent throughout the months and the years, then you can hold your manifestations longer. The more emotional control you have as a woman, the more you can actually focus on what you really, 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 really want. Okay. A sacred assignment to trace the physical representation of your bloodline and uncover how generational trauma or imprints has shaped your story. Okay, that's something that I mentioned a little earlier, but this is exactly how it's going to be in depth. We're going to have sacred assignments to trace the physical representation of what's happening in your womb and the wombs of your bloodline. Also, guidance on how to begin breaking trauma codes, okay, and rewriting your herstory with intention and empowerment. So we're gonna learn how to rewrite our stories. It ends with them. It ended with them, right? Or it ends with us, right? What I say is it ends with them is that with us, it's brand new. Clean slate. All right? Shameless about the decisions that we've made as it pertains to our womb. Shameless because we have the answers. Shameless because we have the knowledge. Shameless because we have the research. Shameless because we have the root cause of why we did things to our womb. Of why we neglected our wombs in the first place and our bodies. All right. So 2 things. There's appointments. There's 2 sessions. I broke them down. Click the link in my bio. The session 1, provides the foundation for deeper work, preparing you for a full womb assessment and healing integration. And then appointment 2 bridges clarity with action, helping you see the connections between your womb, your emotions, your body, and ancestral lineage. Y'all, I'm so excited about this. It's going to get deep. 2025, moving forward, 2026, women have got to get in that deep work. And that requires accountability. So if you are a woman that is just excited and just desire, like you're ready for accountability, right? You're ready to see the truth. If you're obsessed with the truth, then you have to be obsessed with the truth as it pertains to the womb and the wombs of your history, the wombs of your ancestors.